And we're live. Welcome to the newest episode of Ask Me About My Draculas. If you are unfamiliar with the show, we spend our time explaining supernatural movies, books, and television shows. One person on the show has to have not seen what we're talking about. I am one of your hosts, Kel McDonald, and you can find my comic work at kelmcdonald.com.
And I'm the co-host, Ma'at Crook, and you can find me on Twitter at Ma'at Crook, M-A-A-T-C-R-O-O-K.
And I'm participating as a listener. My name's Hansel Moreno, and you can find me on Twitter at Hansel the Lost.
All right. So we're talking about something I haven't seen this week.
And that Hansel hasn't seen.
Yes.
No.
Just me. So what we're going to talk about today is a movie that I watched on Netflix called Late Phases. What do y'all think, just from that title, since both of you haven't seen it, what do you think Late Phases is about?
I think it's going to be about menopausal werewolves.
I agree, yeah.
Y'all are actually pretty accurate. And I won't say any more until we get closer to the end of the discussion, but it takes place in a senior living community called Crescent Bay. And
of course there's a moon thing to there.
Yeah. I didn't get that until just now, Kel. Oh my gosh.
See, I'm a werewolf expert, so I pick up on all the werewolves.
Alright, so the main character is played by Nick D'Amici. He was in Stakeland. His character's name is Ambrose. He's a Vietnam vet. And after the Vietnam War, he started going blind, slowly went blind. He has a pet dog named Shadow. It's a German Shepherd. And then he has a son that he's estranged from. They obviously have a tense relationship.
Shadow's already my favorite character.
Shadow's pretty awesome. The movie starts out where Ambrose and his son are looking for a headstone because his wife, the son's mom, just died, and so he's looking for a headstone for her. And they leave without buying anything to head to Crescent Bay because now that his wife has died, he's a blind senior man, and he is going to live in this senior living community. So, this is where all the bad stuff's going to happen, because as soon as they go through the gate, Shadow starts growling and whining.
'Cause werewolves.
Yes. When Ambrose walks into his brand new house, he doesn't know the place, so he starts feeling along the wall as he walks into his living room, and he comes across this little scrap, like a little bit of wallpaper that's peeling away, and there's an object stuck in the wall. So he pulls it out, and he feels it, and then he walks outside, because when he walked in, he noticed that there was some activity at his neighbor's house. She's having a garage sale. Her name is Dolores. And he asks her what it is, and she says, it's a claw. It's a very big claw. Like a giant claw.
How big is this? Are we talking like a raptor claw like from Jurassic Park, or is it like, could it conceivably belong to a normal animal that is alive, or...
Like a dog or a huge raccoon that just...
Not a dog, not a huge raccoon, but maybe a mountain lion or something. But it was like way up tall.
Hold on,
it
is
wasn't
it like
down
a
low.
BoJack Horseman bobcat that does like interior design or like? Even if it's just a regular bobcat, I'm very confused. Scared already.
He's pretty confused too. He's pulled away from the conversation by his son, who is gonna leave him there alone with his dog Shadow. But that's okay. Ambrose is a pretty.
Is Shadow a seeing eye dog?
No, he's more of just like a pet. But he is very protective. We see him being protective when Ambrose is all alone at home, and these three women just waltz right into Ambrose's house and, like, at the top of their voice go, "Hello!" and, which freaks Ambrose out. He grabs for his gun, but it turns out it's the community welcoming committee. Shadow doesn't like these people, and neither does Ambrose.
Those werewolves. They're all werewolves.
They're werewolves until proven innocent? Is that your stance on it?
Well, as soon as the dog growls at them, it means werewolves.
Right.
On the topic of blind dogs, real quick, I'm going to share this beautiful video of a blind chihuahua with a bumper attached to its collar.
Oh.
Bump into things.
Oh my goodness, and it saves their face.
Yes.
Oh,
So you talking about the dog being a pet of a blind man just made me think, I wish that the dog was also blind and had a bumper. Anyway, back to werewolves. Ambrose,
one of the things the lady said, one of the three women says is that guns aren't normally allowed in the community. And then another woman says,
Silver. Just throwing it out there.
I didn't think that it was legal. She didn't think it was legal for blind people to own guns. Oh, yeah, these people are bad guys.
Well, I can understand, like, you do have to pass a vision test to get your license, but I do remember that there was one time a news article where it said blind person passes vision test to own a gun or whatever. Like, that's how minimal these vision tests are.
Yeah, I don't know if maybe he said that it's legal where they live. So wherever they live, it's legal. And he very snappily said, "I know more about guns than you do about Pop-Tarts. So get out of my house."
Pop-Tarts are a very complex topic.
And of course, the disrespectful neighbors, they leave feeling super disrespected. So there's some continued tension there.
How far into the movie are we now? Is this 30 minutes in? I feel like there's a werewolf that should have been in there already.
Well, you called it that night, but he stays there. Shadow starts barking again, and Ambrose listens outside and hears like this weird wheezing sound. And then there's a big old ruckus next door at Dolores's house. They share a wall. Ambrose starts banging on the wall, "Dolores, Dolores!" And the werewolf that is next door killing Dolores.
Oh no.
Bangs on the wall.
Says hi?
What was that?
They knock back and say hi?
They did knock back. and they knocked Ambrose back, and he got all dizzy and everything because it was such a big impact, but not big enough to bust through the wall. Shadow runs to the other part of the house. Ambrose is trying to get his gun and his bullets, and when he catches up with Shadow, Shadow snaps at him. And you find out that he snaps at him because he's trying to save Ambrose from the werewolf that's in their living room. And the werewolf mauls Shadow and then runs away.
Shadow's a werewolf. Got it.
Well, Shadow did not survive the night.
Oh, no.
Yeah, Shadow is one of the first casualties in the movie.
He should have been like the second werewolf.
Well, he can't turn into a werewolf because Ambrose didn't want his dog to suffer, so he shot his dog.
Oh, God, no.
Yeah. At the vet's office the next day, the vet asks what attacked Shadow, and Ambrose says, "I don't know. It was big and smelled like a dog and smoke. It smelled like."
We're getting some crackling noise from someone.
I'm putting my headphones on just to wave it to me.
Oh no, it sounds like move again. It might be your headphones.
I'm moving.
Yeah, okay. I think it's your headphone wire.
Oh, okay. Then
You need to stay still. Okay.
and hopefully we won't get an echo.
I think you're fine. I'm not getting an echo. Alright, cool. Problem of crackling solved.
Yay!
But, so, Shadow is not a werewolf and is instead shot.
Yes, yeah. And the vet is very condescending when he says that it smelled like a dog and smoke. She's all, "This happens all the time in Crescent Bay. It's a mountain. It's a mountain lion or it's a bear. Because this happens at just once a month. There's an attack."
When will people learn that once a month attacks mean werewolves?
Yes.
I know this. I'm prepared when once a month attacks start to happen.
I like how the bear's like, "Oh, smoke? No, it was Smokey the Bear, for sure."
Yeah.
He gets, once a month he gets paid, he gets drunk, it's terrible.
Yeah. It's all Smokey the Bear's fault.
He and his buddy, the mountain lion. And he said, and Ambrose starts to piece things together. He's like Kel, and he's all, "Every month this happens?" And then he says, "And what does it look like attacked my dog? Does it look like a dog attacked him?" And she said, "In passing." So she's
the werewolf. Calling it now.
Could be. And back at home, it turns out like his daughter-in-law tells him she's sorry that Shadow died, and then she says, "It's this full moon. It makes all the crazy people come out."
I like that she went to psycho weirdo broke into your house and killed your dog.
Yeah.
Whereas everyone else is like, bears.
And when they get back home, he brings Shadow home. He's gonna bury him in the backyard by himself. But when he gets back home, the police are finally there, and they're talking to Dolores's daughter, who is upset, and she feels guilty because she said, "I heard all the stories about this place, but I just didn't feel like I had any other options on where my mom could go." So
there's weirdness about this place, and maybe you shouldn't send your elderly grandparents there.
Yes.
Are they really cheap? Is that why they're still in business?
I guess so, maybe. Yeah.
They need the old people for fodder, obviously. Like, they need people to eat.
Oh my goodness, the police are a jerk too. They said that this happens all the time. The problem is that the elderly can't defend themselves. So during the day, don't walk near the perimeter of the woods. And at
the police's defense, I feel like someone who is sent to a nursing home assisted living situation probably does need help defending themselves.
Well, it's not assisted living, it's independent living. But it's a senior community.
Okay.
But he says, and then when you at night just stay home and lock your doors and close your windows. So that's the police's advice.
So, surprise, surprise, cops are dicks.
Not helpful at all.
Or werewolves as well.
Yeah, werewolves. Yeah.
So, I have a question at this point.
Yes.
Yeah, now I'm just wondering, is this, like, community super duper cheap, and that's why people can live there? Like, cheap but nice. Like, this sure is a bargain, except for all those murders that happen here.
Yeah. And
But let's
not
not undersell
only-
how much of a bargain.
not only are there tons of murders, but everyone's dogs disappear.
Well, coyotes.
Yeah. Yeah, these are pretty nice looking places, but it does seem like they don't talk finances in the movie.
Like you said, it's in Florida?
I don't know where it is. It just said Crescent Bay.
Alright, well, I would have assumed coyotes anyway. Like, so.
Yeah. Coyotes for the dogs,
Yeah.
and mountain lions and bears for people.
Yeah.
I feel like the monthly bear mountain lion attack is weirder than, oh, don't have pets here because we got a lot of coyotes.
Yeah.
That's a, if someone told me that, like, oh, okay.
Mhm. Big, giant coyotes.
Coyotes are getting bigger. I don't know if you watched the documentary on Netflix about coy wolves. They're basically wolf-coyote hybrids, and they're taking over.
They're getting bigger. They're big like wolves.
Yeah, basically coyotes are getting bigger to fill the role that wolves used to play, and they're better at it because coyotes are smarter than wolves. That's the Cliff Notes version.
What's the name of this thing? I gotta check it out.
Coy Wolf. It's a documentary on Netflix.
Got it. Thank you.
He's writing it down.
Yeah.
Coyotes killed my childhood cat.
Oh no.
Wait, where did you live?
Massachusetts.
Okay. I've never been there. So they have lots of
Coyotes are everywhere.
Okay.
Coyotes are in New York City.
Oh, geez. The rats are almost as big as coyotes there.
Well, the coyotes are bigger than the rats because they're trying to be wolf size. But yes, anyway, werewolves. Soon these werewolves movie will start to go. So coyote attack.
Ambrose has figured it out that it's a werewolf though.
Okay, good.
And he remembers about the wheezing that he heard, and he remembers that he smelled the smoke. So he knows that he has 1 month, and in that 1 month he starts preparing by doing push-ups.
Oh yes.
Oh, how blind is he?
Completely blind.
All right.
He doesn't see any periphery, anything. He slowly became 100% blind.
So you can't even see, like, shapes and shit.
No.
Because I know that you can be legally blind and still, like, everything's just blah.
Yeah.
So you can't tell what things are, but you can tell that there's maybe a thing there.
Yeah. Tyler's grandfather was blind, where it started out as a black dot in the front of his vision. You could see everything around it, and then that dot just got bigger and bigger and bigger.
Weird.
So sometimes he would talk to you like this, because he could see barely out of the corners of his eyes. But that's not the case for Ambrose.
Okay.
Ambrose also gets to know his surroundings. He counts his steps in his yard, down the street. He feels around his house and gets to know just like what everything is in his house. He spends the whole month digging this hole for his dog Shadow that is laying stinking in his yard.
Oh, gross.
What?
Yeah.
How are you taking care of that first, dude?
It's taken him a while to dig the hole. Shadow is a big dog. He's digging a big hole. He does end up buying the tombstone, which he then has installed at Shadow's grave. So apparently,
dog more important than wife. I can see why maybe his son is estranged with him.
Apparently, he has decided not to use the headstone for his wife, but instead for his dog. And he also starts investigating his neighbors because he wants to figure out who it is.
Or maybe there was a 2-for-1 sale on tombstones.
Could be.
No.
Does it say to my loving, and then his wife's name is crudely just scratched out?
That'd be awesome. And just scratched out and said Shadow.
He wrote Shadow underneath it.
Yeah. With a Sharpie.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see if you can figure out who the werewolf is.
It was him all along. That's what it was. Okay,
It's you?
continue. No, just continue.
He said it was him all along. He's
It was Ambrose the whole time.
No, it was one of the rude neighbor ladies that said you can't have guns.
So he does. Those are the first people that he investigates.
I want to say it's the vet. It's like, no, obviously this wasn't a dog. This is like a bear.
He didn't investigate the vet. I wish he had, but he did investigate the welcoming committee. The first one that he goes and sees, he hears her husband wheezing in the other room. And then he gets in there, and the man is living in an iron lung. So he pretty much rules out the husband anyway.
Which is a mistake, because he's definitely the werewolf.
And she doesn't smoke, so he isn't sure that it's her. He goes to one of the other women, and she has a husband that has an eye patch. And we as viewers know that the werewolf did not have an eye patch or a blind eye.
That would be cool. That would be very cool.
Clearly her husband is the one-eyed priest werewolf from Silver Bullet, and this is a sequel.
How does he investigate? Like, he just comes over like, oh, I made food, and then he touches their faces? Or like, I'm just trying to get to know you. Like,
he uses his nose. He smells a lot. Smells them. Not up in their face. He feels around, like when they go get him some tea, he feels around the house, and that's how he discovered the husband laying in an iron lung. He also meets Father Roger Smith from the local church. He does smoke, and he has smoker's cough. And he is a jerk, and had this weird conversation about how he became a priest and how he was a bad person.
So he's the werewolf, and this is a sequel to Silver Bullet.
Didn't make that connection either, but he also and that guy, when he tells him about, he says that he didn't get rid of his older self. He just kind of caged that bad self up.
Like a werewolf. Yeah.
He also meets a man named James Griffin, which is Father Smith's groupie. He totally loves Father Smith, is a fan of him. He also admitted that he lives near the woods. He has anger issues, and he has asthma.
So we have a pack of werewolves.
So who do you think is the werewolf out of those people?
I think that I'm going to keep going with the priest, and that this is secretly a sequel to Silver Bullet.
Okay.
I'm going to go with all the above and just play it safe.
Okay.
Yeah, everyone's a werewolf.
Yeah.
Werewolf. All right. So in the next scene, we do find out who it is. Ambrose goes to.
Oh, I thought you could say just Ambrose. I'm like, oh god.
He does sniff around a lot.
Ambrose goes to someone to get some silver bullets made. It's played by Dana Ashbrook, the guy that played Bobby Briggs in Twin Peaks. Like, immediately I was all, oh my gosh, I know who that actor is. Anyway, I got excited being a Twin Peaks nerd.
Yeah.
And he asks Bobby Briggs if he would make some silver bullets and if anyone has ever bought any. So Bobby Briggs checks his records, and he says, "Oh yeah, his name is." Cut scene to James Griffin in the mirror with his shirt off, has tons of wounds all over him, and he's putting Vaseline on his wounds. It's totally him.
Okay.
So after he does that, then James Griffin goes around and he starts putting church flyers in everyone's mailbox. And when he's over by Ambrose's house, when Ambrose gets dropped off with a little bag of silver bullets, and on the bag said the name of where he got it from, and which
That's branding. Yeah.
It tips James off, and he runs away. And what he ends up doing is going to every single neighbor, and the first place he breaks into the one of the welcoming committee ladies with the husband with the eye patch. He breaks into their house, sits on their living room couch, and asks them to pray with him, which they think is really weird, but they go ahead and do that, and they're holding hands. And at the end of the prayer, he bites the lady's hand.
Okay, so everyone will be a werewolf by the end of the movie.
Yes, you got it. The next day, Ambrose wakes up. Father Smith comes to visit him, and says that he's on his way to go visit another church member, and by this time, Ambrose, it is the full moon. Tonight is the full moon, and Ambrose has been told by Bobby Briggs who the werewolf is, and when Father Smith says that he's going to go visit a church member, Ambrose is scared that he's going to visit James Griffin, who is still busy going to all the other neighbors' houses and biting hands.
You think someone would get the memo out like, hey, you know, so-and-so's been going around biting everybody.
They did. I skipped that part. The police the next day are looking for him, but he's not home because he's still out biting people's hands. When Father Smith leaves, then Ambrose decides to follow him, but he can't drive, and so he's following him on foot. It takes him a while to get there. Father Smith goes into the backyard, and there is James Griffin cutting himself as an act of contrition. And he is pretty upset. He tells the Father Smith that everything he's done for him hasn't worked. All the prayers, the rosaries, nothing's worked. Everything he's given him has been garbage. He's pissed at him. And he tells him everything about being a werewolf, about how to kill werewolves. And then he says his reason for doing that is that because when he kills Father Smith, he wants Father Smith to know that it's not out of anger or violence, it's out of love. Weird.
I'm confused then.
Yeah.
It's a classic abusive relationship. I would do this because I love you. Yeah, I mean, that's what it is.
Ambrose arrives at the house just in time to hear screams because everyone in town is transforming into a werewolf now. He goes investigates, and he goes to the house where the man is with the iron lung. And he walks in the door. Doesn't seem to be anyone in there. He touches the iron lung, and then touches where the man's head should be, and it's been ripped off.
Oh, no.
It's sticky and disgusting. And he smells perfume and hears werewolf breathing behind him. He still had his shovel in his hand. He used his shovel as a way to lead himself down the street, because he was still digging he was still burying his dog's shadow when
How big was his dog?
It's a German Shepherd, so.
Yeah. And so he has the shovel in his hand, and he turns around really quick and kills the lady werewolf that's behind him, the menopausal werewolf.
I'm sad that she wasn't the werewolf all along.
Yeah.
I'm sad that this movie wasn't secretly about a group of old ladies that are all werewolves.
Was the shovel silver?
Yes. Yes, it is.
Or is it? Okay.
He knows that when he killed her.
He killed her, but he got gutted a little bit. So he goes home and bandages himself up, puts on his old army uniform, loads his gun, and then.
Was it a musket?
Yes, that is how. Then he throws his bloody T-shirt out the window, out of his house window.
Like Jaws.
Puts in a hearing aid so he can hear from far away. And
Not how hearing aids work, but okay.
They didn't do the thing where blind people being blind equals that you have superpower other senses.
So I have a question. Whenever do they ever like shoot from like his point of view, where like the screen is kind of black and you just like hear
noises?
No, they don't do that.
That would have been cool.
Well, they like when Dolores was being killed, he had his ear by the wall, so they did shoot from that. But I mean, you could still see everything, and they would cut to Dolores laying on the ground with her holding her intestines and stuff. So no, that would have been pretty cool if they had done that. That 3 werewolves end up in his yard sniffing at his bloody shirt, and he shoots at them but misses, doesn't kill anybody, until one of them is pissed, jumps at his window, and gets shot in the head. So
he's very lucky for all this random shooting.
Yeah. He's a gun expert.
But I assume that shooting needs aiming.
Yeah.
So he's getting very lucky.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's what the hearing aid's for. It's helping him aim.
He took that out.
Oh, never mind.
Good idea.
That's a great way to damage your hearing.
Yeah. Let me put this hearing aid right before I shoot this gun.
So that's one. That's the second community welcoming committee lady did. The third one is down in his kitchen making a ruckus, and he shoots her through a wall. And then the eye patch husband is in the front yard holding his now naked human wife and crying and howling, and he jumps in through a window and gets shot to dead. So the last one is Griffin, who is in the backyard eating Shadow in the grave.
There's a lot fresher things to eat around. I mean,
there's all those dead werewolves lying about.
Yeah.
And apparently now we know why it took him a month to bury his dog, because
Tiger Pit.
No, close. I mean, it is definitely a trap. He had planned it from the beginning, I guess, and that he planned for the tombstone he rigged it with a rope so that he could pull the rope and the tombstone would fall on Werewolf Griffin's head, which doesn't do a whole lot. He goes outside and tussles with him with his shovel, and gets bit on the neck. Ambrose is losing. His shovel gets broken in half. You think Ambrose is going to die. And I mean, he's been bitten on the neck. He's going to die. And then he picks up the 2 halves of the shovel and shoves it in the werewolf's eyes, and then shoots the werewolf. Werewolf's dead.
And now Ambrose is a werewolf.
Yes, Ambrose could definitely be a werewolf now. Not only from the scratch on his belly, but being bit on his neck. He's exhausted. He's tired. And he goes and sits in his rocking chair in the backyard. And whew, I'm done.
All these murdered people in his backyard.
What a day.
And then he's brought to jail, or then in prison he murders everyone as a werewolf.
Well, and his son arrives because apparently Ambrose left a voice message, a weird voicemail message, and so his son comes to the house and is all freaked out because it sounded like his dad was saying he was gonna die, and he comes and there's this naked dead woman laying in his dad's yard.
And then it turns out that all of this was a horrible Vietnam flashback.
Oh no. That's
And none of
terrible.
it happened.
Well, it's weird and shocking and scary, and then the son sees a werewolf dying at his dad's front door, just outside his dad's front door. And then he's all, Dad! Dad! And he runs to the backyard where his dad is dead, in the rocking chair. All the werewolves are dead, and the movie ends very touchingly, playing Ambrose's message, trying to make amends with his son, and at the funeral, Ambrose's son takes his rifle and shoots at the moon. The end.
This is your fault, Moon.
The part where he dies in the rocking chair totally freaked me out. Like, well, I don't know that freaked me out was the right word. It was very impactful for me because I've been told stories about how my grandfather died. He died. I was told that he died saving a puppy, my cousin's puppy, who had run across the railroad tracks to get and got into a car that was filled with bees, and he saved the puppy. And then when everyone went home, he was sitting in the rocking chair, insisting that he did not want to go to the hospital. It was just a bunch of bee stings. That's all. He'll be fine. He asked my grandma for something to drink, and when she came back, he was still rocking in his chair, but had died. That is my family mythology. I don't know how true it is, but that's what I was told. So then when he dies in his rocking chair, I'm all...
I feel like fighting a million werewolves he did pretty good for an old blind guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that movie, and I like that none of the senior citizens are like the police say that they're defenseless. There's lots of ageist comments going on. The movers, Ambrose's movers, who come show up on the way to his house, they talk about how the old people smell. It's just like all the shitty stuff that people say about senior citizens, and none of them were true in this movie.
Yeah, see, the only reason why I thought maybe I thought he was going to like an assisted living, since it was like his wife died and now you can't live alone, so we're moving, you know.
It kind of was that a bit, but he is a very independent person and wanted to and can take care of himself.
Yeah, so I thought he was going to like a nursing home.
Yeah.
Which would be like, these people probably do need help protecting themselves, like.
Well, there is a lot of, like, there's blindness for two different characters. There's a man in an iron lung. Dolores has to use a walker, but they're all really feisty characters.
Yeah, and that's why I wish they were all werewolves. Secret werewolf, old people community. Because it would be fun if the whole town was werewolves, and then it would make sense while they're all like, yes, it was clearly a bear attack.
Yeah, that would make more sense if like there was a need for conspiracy, but it just seems like everybody, like the vet and the cops, like they don't give a shit about these old, like, he's just fucking old, who cares? You're gonna die anyway. Might as well be a bear, and like they don't care enough about the community to do anything about it. So it'd be more interesting if there was a conspiracy where like, oh, everybody's a werewolf and this is where we retired.
I don't know. I think that's how people treat some people treat senior citizens, is by minimizing what they say, not believing them.
Mostly bear attack. I feel like every single time I have seen a show where the police and like every other like official is like, yes, this monthly a bear attack. Like even if it was happening to senior citizens, like I feel like someone would at least go find the bear. Like they'd call animal control.
Yeah.
Oh, these old people, but there is a bear. Like, so if they're just like, it's just a bear, and then not doing anything about it, I'm like, well, clearly all the cops are also werewolves.
Yeah. I think in this movie they just are incompetent, because all they did to find James Griffin was go knock on his house door, and that's it. They didn't do anything else to try to find him when he was right next door, biting someone on the hand.
All right, looks like he skipped town. All right, job well done.
Yeah, we're done here.
Yeah, done my job. You just need to stay in your house and stay away from the woods.
Listen, there are bears outside. Oh.
So yeah, it definitely is silly.
Yeah.
But I also like it. I like Ambrose's character a lot.
I'm still sad that there weren't grandma werewolves in it.
There were. It's just they weren't werewolves. They were only werewolves for like an hour.
Yeah, I wish they were all werewolves all the time. Because that would be the last person that you would suspect. This group of grandmas that, like, played bridge together. All werewolves.
Are there people still in Iron Lungs? Is that still a thing?
Now they kind of just intubate you, like if you need it. Like there's a thing that goes in here, and if you need it permanently, they cut a hole in your throat, and they do that. I don't know if there's a big iron lungs. I mean, I haven't seen that. The respiratory care I see is more like mouth involved, you know, not like barometric pressure going in and out.
Yeah.
Is that your job?
No, I just work in a lot of hospitals, so I've seen some gross stuff.
Yeah. So it kind of is your job that you work in hospitals.
Yeah, sort of. But I don't I don't intubate people or do any of the healthcare stuff. I do more repair.
Yeah. I'm looking at Wikipedia.
So the reason why I jumped to, like, the dude in, like, the iron lung or whatever is a werewolf, because that's an American Werewolf in Paris. Like, that, main dude becomes a werewolf, and then, like, main girl is giving him, like, the 411 on werewolfness. And then it turns out her dad is a werewolf, too, but he's just, like, locked in the basement, attached to, like, life support, and, like, doesn't have legs. So even when he turns into a werewolf, he can't really do much.
I didn't remember that part from that movie. It's been a while.
Yeah, that movie's not very good.
Are there any other questions, or
I'm trying to think.
would y'all watch it?
Maybe. I have a lot of stuff to finish watching right now. I'm watching X-Files right now.
Oh, awesome.
For the first time. I've never seen it before.
Really?
Are there werewolves in X-Files? I don't remember.
Probably.
The only episode of X-Files I watched before doing this binge watch is an episode where it starts like the show Cops, and I watched it because I thought I was going to watch Cops. And Mulder comes up and starts to talk to the police officer we're following about werewolves. And then she gives him a drug test. But there are werewolves in X-Files. There was one in the first season. Like they like mashed up werewolves with Native American skinwalker legends and stuff. And so far that's the only werewolf.
The creepiest werewolf TV show I saw was like Goosebumps, and like there's this family, and every time they're done being werewolves, you have to go bury their skins for some reason. Like it was on TV years ago, so I don't remember it clearly. But it seems so weird that the skin had this power over them, and they had to go like dig it up and wear it, and then they became werewolves. But it wasn't like your classic, bitten. It was more of a skinwalker thing too.
Yeah.
It's really weird.
Yeah, this movie had all the, like, there was no different take on werewolves. It's the same, like, on the full moon, but apparently it was only one night, not 3 nights, like in Buffy. You're bitten or scratched and turned into one. You have to shoot them with silver bullets. Yeah.
And then the reason why I brought up there's a whole town conspiracy or whatever is there was like this TV show that ran for a season. I think it was called Wolf Lake, and it was about this cop who his girlfriend goes missing in like New York, and he's trying to figure out like where she ran off to, so he goes back to her hometown and is trying to figure, and everyone in the town, like, there's these monthly bear attacks. Yes, and it turns out everyone in town is a werewolf.
What is that called again?
I think it was called Wolf Lake.
Yeah, it's Wolf
I've never
Lake.
seen it since it aired in like the mid-90s.
2001.
Okay. And that was a weird show. Like someone wanted to do Twin Peaks, but about werewolves.
The girl who played Ramona Flowers was in it.
So that's why I'm always like, if the cops are like, yes, these bear attacks, let's do nothing about them. I'm like, cops should be werewolves.
It's a bear. It can clearly outsmart us. We have no power over it.
And so it made sense in that show when like everyone's like, yeah, monthly bear attacks, drug, and like the whole town seemed to not really give a shit, and the main character's like, why doesn't anyone care?
Yeah. The cops never show up for any of the other attacks either.
I feel like it must look like that from the cops' perspective. It looks like, so this blind veteran went crazy and killed all his neighbors.
Oh yeah. Do they show up at the end when the son's there, like having that connection with the voicemail?
Yeah, that's why I made that crack about, and then it was a Vietnam flashback.
Oh
Yeah.
no.
That's probably like, yep, veteran went crazy.
Yeah, yeah, I don't know. Like when the werewolves die, they turn back human and naked. So that would be weird.
Yeah.
So what does that mean, that the son did something? Like maybe buried all the bodies or something?
Well, there's already that big hole he had dug. So just like,
Let's
make
just
use
throw
of it.
everyone in there.
Yeah.
And I'll just take Mom's tombstone that you decide to use for your dog.
Oh, that's the tombstone that they used for his funeral.
So the mom gets nothing still, and the dad gets the dog's tombstone.
Yeah. That the ending where the son shows up and then they play the voicemail and then there's the funeral. It's over in like under a minute, like maybe 15 seconds of movie. Which is pretty vague, but I guess like otherwise you're just like, I guess they didn't care to tie up those loose ends.
Yeah. Well, we've been going for like an hour, so.
That was an hour? My God, that flew by. I was so into this movie.
I liked the movie. I rewatched it to take notes for.
Is it on Netflix?
It is on Netflix.
I'll probably check it out.
It is. I mean, I told you almost everything that happens in the movie, so there's no surprises there. It's not. It probably didn't win very many awards.
Nope. Werewolf movies never do.
Yeah. Is there anything that is coming up for either of y'all? Anything y'all want to talk about?
I'm gonna be at ProtoCon next month. So we won't be doing a show that week. We might not be able to do any in September because the other Sunday we have for September is also kind of up in the air.
Okay. Good.
What about you guys?
Hansel?
I have a Kickstarter book that just hit the shores. Like, I got it printed overseas, so I'm waiting to get it, then ship it out to my backers, and then I'll have some for sale. And I'll probably just put that up on Twitter.
Any werewolves in it?
No, sadly, no. I really missed my opportunity to get on that werewolf train. I didn't know I was going to be here.
My friend Kevin and I were looking at like the popularity of keywords in Google search. Dildos has always been more popular than werewolves.
Wow.
But vampires has been more popular than dildos since 2007.
What?
So is there a werewolf dildo or a vampiric dildo comic where you can get in on this market, just make some money off of that?
There you go, Kel.
Yep, let's get in on this. I think Bad Dragon has that market covered.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, thanks everyone for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
All right, thanks, guys.
You can